Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. I'm Finn Macdiarmid and here are your top stories on Tuesday, the 15th of April. Millions unused. Medway Council stockpiled £20 million from housing developers and haven't used a penny. Running out of luck. The mystery lottery winner from Sevenoaks has just a week left to claim their ticket. And Songkran celebration. Locals celebrate Thai New Year's in Maidstone. But first tonight, Medway Council is sitting on nearly £20 million of unused funding from housing developers. Section 106 contributions improve local communities when developers receive planning permissions for larger projects. A Freedom of Information request revealed that just 1.5% of the money collected in the last 12 years for health projects has been spent. Local democracy reporter Gabriel Morris has the story.
Over the last decade or two, Medway has seen some large-scale developments across its towns. After planning permission is given, a legal agreement is signed between the developer and the local authority. It's to give community money to the local area to offset the burden of whatever they're building. Now here in Gillingham, this play park was funded by Section 106 contributions. However, as a whole, not all of the money contributed over the last 12 years has been spent. Maggie Francis first became aware of this 10 years ago.
Well, people have to have homes, we know that. We all started out somewhere.
She was fighting against a housing developer's appeal, now built and overlooking her home. Since then, she has sent more than 1,000 emails, filed Freedom of Information requests and held meetings to try and find out where the money has gone.
I'm disgusted, absolutely disgusted. I've been asking for years to see what this money is being spent on. It's almost as if it's a hot potato and everybody's passing it around and nobody wants to catch it.
What is it that you want Medway Council to tell you?
Nobody's told me anything. Nobody has ever told me that I'm wrong. Nobody's ever asked me, until you've come along, why I'm asking these questions. It's almost as if just move along here, nothing to see here, just ignore her and she'll go away. I think they're discovering that I'm not going away.
It's been revealed that the total unspent money stacks up to £19.5 million since 2013. When it comes to health-related projects, out of the 40 agreements signed, only 2 have been spent. Some of this money set aside to improving GP services in the towns. Medway Council says it takes time and planning to spend contributions, but a team continues to work with those services and third-party partners to ensure funds are utilised appropriately. It's also understood that there's frustration with the local NHS Integrated Care Board over collecting the funding from the authority. The ICB says when there is an identified and approved project to allocate the funding to, there can be a significant time lag between S106 contribution being secured through the planning application, the development starting, and getting to the stage where the contribution is due. And nationally, it's thought £8 billion worth of this money is being held by councils, according to the Home Builders Federation. What's more, there are time limits, meaning if it's not spent, the developer can request it back. Gabriel Morris in Medway.
Now, one lucky person in Sevenoaks has drawn a winning ticket for the lottery's Set for Life draw and would get £10,000 a month for 30 years. But their luck is about to run out as they haven't claimed the prize totalling £3.6 million and they have just a week to realise and produce a winning ticket or they won't see a penny of that money. Now, these aren't the numbers. The numbers are in fact 2, 11, 29, 37, 45 and a life ball of 6. So if you recognise those numbers, you could be a millionaire without even realising. Well, I went down to Sevenoaks to see if I could find this secret millionaire.
What would you do if you had £10,000 straight into your bank account every month for 30 years? Well, for one Sevenoaks local, the dream is a reality, but the catch is they don't even know it. And if they don't realise and produce a winning ticket by the 22nd of April, then the money will go to national lottery-funded projects across the country instead of their wallet. But there's another catch. The ticket was bought all the way back in October last year, and time is running out. If the Sevenoaks secret millionaire doesn't come forward in the next week, then they wouldn't be entitled to a penny of that life-changing money. But I was on a mission to find our missing money bags with the help of the people of Sevenoaks.
Of the 120,000 people here in Sevenoaks, just one person has the winning ticket, and we're going to see if we can find them today. Let's go. Excuse me, madam. Do you use the lottery at all?
Do you know I don't?
You don't. Okay. Well, if you did win, what would you do with It's the Set for Life campaign, so it's £10,000 every month for
Yeah.
30 years. Total of
Wow.
3.6 million. What would you do if you ended up winning?
Gosh, so someone's won that locally, have they?
Yes.
Do you know, £10,000 a month is an awful lot. So I think I've got children that would really welcome a bit of money every month. So I think I'd probably do that, kind of support everyone.
Oh, a little car, lovely little house, stay in the area and give the rest to my daughter for her, like, the rest of her life.
I would disappear from England and travel the world, possibly, and go everywhere where the weather is hot.
Travelling to see our family abroad in either Australia or in Canada or in Eastern Southern Africa.
Some advice experts have given includes remembering back to autumn when the ticket was bought, checking coat pockets, scouring through their vehicles, and even in places you might not expect.
People have kept tickets in dictionaries under L for the lottery. People have kept them under the front door mat as a place where it won't move from. A million and one places, I'm sure. Anything you can probably think of has possibly happened in terms of where people have kept their tickets safe.
Now, it has happened before where people would find their tickets right before the deadline, and as I was speaking to people, quite a few had heard of the missing winner, but we were no closer to finding them.
But this isn't the end. Like I say, there's one more week. So we've been mainly operating around this area, but now I want you to go out and see if you can find the Set for Life winner anywhere here or in the rest of Sevenoaks.
Family members, co-workers, your dog's groomers, the person serving you in a shop, the winner could be anyone, up until that deadline day of Tuesday, April 22nd. And while it will certainly be a mission to find them, it's far from impossible. Finn Macdiarmid for KMTV in Sevenoaks.
Now, homelessness in rural areas has increased by more than 40% in the last 5 years, and charities are hoping to launch a trial that could help those sleeping rough in East Kent. The Housing First scheme could see those in rural areas find support they might not normally be able to access. Porchlight has been meeting with housing associations and local councils to propose their plan to tackle the growing issue. We were joined on the line earlier today by Chris Thomas from the charity.
It's similar to the homelessness that we're seeing in towns and cities, but it's people in more secluded rural locations. And the issue we have is that there's a lot of people who are homeless, and we don't really know where there are, or even how many of them there are, because they might, be sleeping in a barn, sleeping away in woodlands. They're very hidden away. And they're encountering this issue where a lot of homelessness services in this country are designed with cities and towns in mind. So if you are homeless in a rural area, you're kind of cut off from a lot of that, and your only option is to travel quite a big distance to go and get support, and that just doesn't work for people. And as you've said, this is sort of fueling this crisis where we're seeing more and more rural homelessness.
I mean, it's such a difficult one to sort of tackle because people who are suffering from rural homelessness are going to have so much less access to different services, access to care, healthcare, for example. So how do we go about tackling it?
So we believe that the solution to this is with something called Housing First. And Housing First is a scheme that's a little bit different to what most people recognise as homelessness support. So it's not like an emergency shelter, it's not like a hostel in a town. Essentially, if someone's homeless, they are given a place of their own, they're given a flat of their own, and there are no conditions put on them if they want to move in. So if you went into a hostel, for example, you might have to sort of meet certain criteria. But for a lot of people, they don't really fit into institutions. They find it difficult to trust being in somewhere that's trying to improve them, because it's all about giving someone a home first, and then the support goes to them instead of them having to go somewhere for support. We think it's going to have a massive impact on people who are homeless in rural areas.
Yeah, and of course homelessness in any area across the county or country is a problem that needs to be addressed as well. But I can imagine some councils, some businesses, those businesses in the high streets as well, and the residents that use the high street would say that they'd rather see homelessness tackled in the high streets. They'd rather see people moved on because perhaps it's bringing business down. People aren't visiting as much, or they see more people sleeping rough in their local high streets as well.
Everyone is struggling for money, you know, and homelessness is getting worse. It's not cheap to help people, but it is important. In terms of homelessness growing, I was just talking about this Housing First scheme, and the difference. One of the main sort of selling points of it, I suppose, is that it's proven to break the cycle of homelessness. So once someone gets that kind of support, they typically don't end up, you know, sort of homeless again in a year's time, and then in and out of homelessness support. So it's about putting something in place, you know, in rural areas, obviously in towns and cities as well, that allows people to move away from homelessness for good.
Well, it looks like that's all we have time for now. But coming up after the break, we're going to find out how the Buddhist festival of Songkran is making an influence here in Kent. And we'll share how Medway Food Bank goes the extra mile to support unpaid carers. All that and more after this short break. Welcome back to Kent Tonight here on KMTV. Now, New Year might feel like a distant memory for most of us, but for some religions, the celebrations are only just beginning across Kent this April. The Songkran Festival, which comes from Buddhism, sees people taking part in rituals like bathing statues with scented water. Our reporter, Henry Luck, headed to a Maidstone business this week to see how they brought the tradition to life here in the county.
The Thai Orchid here in Maidstone is celebrating New Year's in April with a tradition of their own. Songkran, derived from the Skanska word Sankranti, meaning passing or approaching, is a national 3-day holiday in Thailand. An important part of Songkran is water, because it's used as a spiritual cleanser to wash away the sins and misfortunes of the past year. One of the most important rituals of the event is paying respect to Buddhist monks by gifting them food.
There's a time also with the Buddha statue here. You'll see that the people will come by and they will pour water over the Buddha statue, again offering respect but at the same time as a purification. And then they will pour it over the hands of the monks as they walk by, and then over the elders, so any of the elders of the Thai communities. It's a very beautiful tradition, it's a very beautiful day.
The owner of the Thai Orchid wanted to bring the tradition of Songkran for everyone in Maidstone to experience and enjoy.
So what reminds me of Songkran is water festival, because in Thailand, people always say that there are 3 seasons, hot, hotter, and hottest, So that's why April is the hottest month, So that's why we have to bring the water, cold water, and splash the water, to each other.
I decided to get a blessing myself from the Buddhist monks, which hopefully will give me good fortune for the year ahead. And there's more events coming up in 2025 for anyone hoping to get involved in the Thailand culture.
Okay, actually, it's not only for Thai community. We also promote this festival for locals like British, or Europeans living here as well. We are really proud of our culture, so that's why we would like to spread this to other people to visit us.
Henry Luck for KMTV in Maidstone.
Now, a Farms Family Fun Day took a turn, leaving children distressed and upset after being targeted by animal rights activists. The police were called to Swan Young Farmers Club in Cudworth, where the campaigners were found distributing leaflets titled Fluffy Tails Slaughterhouse Tours, including a QR code directing people to a YouTube video of people abusing animals in a slaughterhouse. One parent was shocked as one of the activists upset her daughter and stopped her pushchair. Other parents were amused by the leaflets but said their children were left distressed. Police say no arrests were made and the event still raised almost £3,000 for the club. Now, a Reform UK leaflet has had to be removed from circulation after it was reported to the police for violating standard rules. Distributed in Folkestone and Hythe, the pamphlet breached election rules as it depicted the party leader Nigel Farage next to the Kent County Council logo. People claimed it could have misled voters to believe KCC was endorsing their party and were made to retract the leaflet from distribution. The party has since publicly apologised for using the logo and stated it hadn't gone through the appropriate approval process. Now, with the cost of living affecting thousands, some who are particularly struggling in these times are unpaid carers, according to charities. In fact, 1 in 7 have had to use a food bank. Medway Food Bank has partnered with Carers First and started a campaign called the Carer Poverty Project to try and tackle the issue. They believe the carers' allowance just isn't enough to support these key workers, despite the increase in the earnings threshold. Well, we were joined by Mike Evans from Medway Food Bank to discuss what they're doing to try and help unpaid carers.
Mike, thank you very much for joining us today. Now, Medway Food Bank has joined forces with Carers First, and that's in the hope of reducing the number of unpaid carers living in poverty. And there's actually a large number using your service. What have they told you as to why that is?
Well, there's a variety of reasons. Obviously, the cost of living is very, very high at the moment. That has got worse this month because there are increases in council tax, gas, electricity, water bills are going up, broadband. But even before those recent rises, many carers have been struggling.
Well, the government have previously said the increase in the carers allowance earnings threshold is the biggest rise since its introduction in 1976. But you'd say it's just not enough to meet those increasing pressures and costs elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's the earnings threshold. That's a different thing. That's not the amount you're paid. The earnings threshold was previously £151 a week, which was the amount you're allowed to earn to be eligible for carers allowance. That has gone up a lot to £196 a week. So you're now able to earn £196 a week and not lose your carers allowance. But it doesn't alter the fact that carers allowance is still incredibly low at £83.30 per week. So the fact that you're able to earn a little bit more, and if you add those two numbers up, 196 and 80, it's still a very low sum.
And tell us how this campaign came about, working with Carers First. What are some of the issues that you've noticed actually at the food bank with some carers coming to you and asking for your support?
The project originated from Trussell, actually. Trussell, formerly Trussell Trust. Medway Food Bank is affiliated to Trussell, and they have a vision of a society without the need for food banks. It's very idealistic and optimistic, perhaps, but they've asked each individual food bank to identify the drivers of poverty in their area and to work to reduce them. And we have teamed up with Carers First because Carers First have noticed that there's an absolute epidemic of poverty amongst the carers that they are supporting. Carers First give practical advice to carers and emotional support to carers, but they're very, very worried about how many carers are in deep poverty. And we, of course, have noticed a huge number of carers coming to the food bank. You know, they're brilliant people who work in that industry, but the pay is very low. But this campaign is specifically about unpaid carers who are normally family members looking after a loved one, someone who might have dementia or profound learning disabilities.
Tell us how you're going to be helping these carers. How are you going to be trying to reach out to them and making sure that they're getting the support that you can offer?
What we're doing at the moment is we're together with Carers First. We have started the Carer Poverty Project, and I'd invite any of your viewers to go on to our website, the carerpovertyproject.co.uk. There you'll find stories about carers who are struggling. But we particularly like those people who support the work that we're doing to sign a petition, which is linked on that website, which is urging Parliament to increase carers allowance so that it matches minimum wage.
And I just want to make clear the government's response, just so it has a right of reply to that as well. It says it's also making available up to £3.7 billion extra for local authorities with social care responsibility in the new financial year, including an £880 million increase in the social care grant. Obviously, you would no doubt come back and say, well, that money should be potentially going to the carers themselves rather than going to these services. But then, these services are also very important. No less.
Carer support plans, which local authorities put together, they're so underfunded, they're unable to provide the respite care that's required by carers. So any additional funding would be welcome. But adult social services has been underfunded, so grossly underfunded for so long that even though this extra money is welcome, really more is needed. But, it's welcome, of course.
And as you've been outlining for us, Mike, there are a lot of different people reaching out to your service here in Medway, and that is a reflection on the bigger picture here in Kent, whether they're in paid work, whether they're not. You're seeing a wide range of people using the service that just wouldn't have relied on it before. How do you think that's changed over the past few years, looking at more widely what you do at the food bank?
Last year, our statistics showed that we were providing food support for twice as many people as we were in 2019. It's a huge, and that's reflected nationwide. There has been a plateauing this year, which we're absolutely delighted about. We're not quite sure why that is, but we're certainly very grateful for it. But that is a plateauing at a very high level. So demand is in Medway is very, very high. And of course, Medway Food Bank isn't the only food bank in Medway. There are independent food banks which are operating as well and which are also very busy.
Mike Evans from Medway Food Bank, thank you very much for speaking with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we've been having some quite warm weather, but it's taken a bit of a turn today. Lots of rain we've been seeing outside. Well, let's see if it's going to get any better. Cloudy skies this evening with temperatures of 10 degrees all around the county, with the exception of 9 down there in Royal Tunbridge Wells. Tunbridge Wells. Now, tomorrow morning we've got some sun peeking through the clouds, temperature of 10 degrees all across the county. And expect clear skies tomorrow evening, an average temperature of 14 degrees, highs of 15 up there in Dartford. And over the next few days, temperatures of 15 on Thursday. Saturday warming up a little to 16 degrees, but mostly some cloud covering that sun. What a shame. And it's more bad news, as that's all the time we have. You've been watching Kent Tonight live here on KMTV. There's more news made just for Kent throughout the evening. Don't forget, you can always keep up to date with the latest news across your county by logging on to kmtv.co.uk. You can keep us on your social timelines by liking us on Facebook and following us on our TikTok. And if you have a story that you think we should be covering, then please don't hesitate to get in touch. That's all from me for now, but we'll see you very soon. Good night.